guys, welcome back to another episode of From the Heart. I'm your host, Chloe Trca. And if you're new here, this podcast is genuinely everything from my heart. I talk all topics from business to mindset to health and wellness and fitness to my faith and my walk with God. It is so broad, but it encapsulates everything that I go through. And essentially, I utilize this podcast to teach you guys everything I'm learning as well. It's like all of my life wisdom into a podcast episode each week. I feel like I learn so much every single week, and it's so cool to be able to share that with you. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I appreciate and love you guys so much. And this week's episode, you guys, it's a solo episode. It's just me here, but I'm excited. I got notes again. Woo. This used to just be one where I just straight from the heart. I would say I have like certain episodes where I do that, but this episode again, like last week, I have notes. Things were coming to me all week long. Like I feel as though I learned a lot this week. I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts. I've been very aware of the conversations I'm having. I'm learning so much from the people in my life and the people that I consume on the internet as well, because again, that part of your life is just as important. Who you follow is just as critical as the people that you surround yourself with physically in your day-to-day life. So maybe this is your little reminder to kind of go through your following list and, I don't know, weed through it, check it out, really think to yourself, does this person make me feel better? Does this person inspire me? Does this person lead me to live a better, happier, healthier life? Is this person giving me something that I can utilize to better myself? Or do I often compare myself to this person? Does this person kind of give off a negative vibe or energy or whatever I don't know, think? Does this person have different morals and values and live a different lifestyle than I do? That's big for me. I think going through my walk with God and growing closer to God, I don't necessarily get convicted super hard on one thing, but I've noticed over time that I just naturally gravitate. I'm naturally hyper aware. I think God just makes me more aware of certain things, points it out. And I guess that isn't a form of conviction, but I'm not getting convicted to unfollow. I'm just so unsettled that I'm like, I'd rather, so I guess maybe that is conviction. I don't know. I'm still new to this. And that's another thing with my podcast, you guys. I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about all the time, but it's just how I experience things. I share my experiences. And a big thing for me is my relationship with God. I'm not a scholar. I didn't go to Bible school. I don't know a lot, but I do know my experience, and I love sharing that. And so anyway, on social media and stuff, I just have noticed where I'm very aware of things that people post and the ways that they communicate and what they communicate about and how they live their life, and if they're glorifying God or if they're glorifying something else, if they're idolizing one thing, if they're idolizing something else, because you become the people you surround yourself with, and you tend to live lifestyles similar to the people that you follow. Typically you follow people because they are an influence to you, that you aspire to be like them. They're encouraging, they're motivating. There's a reason you follow them. So I guess just sit back and kind of question, and you don't have to go through your following list, but just when you're scrolling your feed and stuff, things that pop up. I think we're so almost brainwashed, and we're so numb to the feed and the algorithm and just opening up our phones. It's like muscle memory at this point. I know it is for you guys because it is for me so bad as well. But I won't even realize I'm on Instagram, and I'm like, why am I even on Instagram? I'm busy doing the dishes. I don't need to be scrolling and doing the dishes at the same time. But two, I think we become so numb to seeing certain content, we don't actually digest and understand what we're viewing, because our brain still understands and absorbs a lot of that, even if we're not consciously aware in the moment. So again, this wasn't even part of the episode, this wasn't even part of my notes, this just kind of came on my heart, as we say here, that I wanted to share, just because I care about you guys, and I care about the influence that I can have on you. And I always say this, and I will say this forever, but if you ever feel as though I'm giving off something that doesn't line up with your morals and your values, or you don't agree with, and you think that content that I create is in any way creating a negative space, a negative thought, a negative anything, if it's anything but positively influencing, positively helping, making you happier, bringing you more joy, bringing you more inspiration, encouragement, motivation, that's what I want to bring you. If I can't give you that, don't follow me, because I feel like the alternate to that is not good, and I never want to bring anything negative to somebody's life. So as a creator myself, and I know a lot of the people that I'm friends with who are also creators have that same opinion and feeling towards that. So it would hurt my feelings more if I knew I was negatively impacting your life compared to if I was losing a follow, if that makes sense. But okay, enough of that. You probably have heard it before, but I just think it's a really good reminder. Okay, the first thing that I heard this week, and I was like, wow, that reframed my mindset, was it's about work and it's about money. And this is interesting. I wish I would have wrote down who said it, because I did on the other topics. I don't know where I heard this, but I think it was, I'm not even kidding you. I think I was on the treadmill, or I was out for a run, and I was listening to a podcast, and I heard it, and I typed it in my notes really fast. Like, y'all should see my notes. It's crazy. It's crazy, because half it's spelt wrong because I'm literally running. But again, that's why I love to run, because it's so therapeutic, and it's a time for my brain just to like be free and consume and understand and really like think and process on certain things that I hear. But this first thing said, it was interesting because it was kind of a conversation between two people, and one guy works his butt off. Like, I don't know what his career was. I'm not even going to say, because I don't know, and I don't want to like misspeak, but essentially altogether he was saying working hard to make money to end up getting sick and spending it all to heal. So let's kind of break that apart. So essentially what he's saying is he works so hard in his career. People devote so much to grad school, med school, even just climbing the corporate ladder, or if you're entrepreneurial, I know how much that can just suck and drain the life out of you. People will make so many sacrifices for their career to make money, because there's a higher dollar value that they can gain. They can have more success and more monetary value, but they are literally a slave to their work. And that is so messed up, because then in return, you guys, when you aren't taking care of your body, when you aren't taking care of your relationships, when you aren't taking care of like your inner and your outer, like people you're around, your spiritual life, whatever you prioritize, once you should put God first. That's why I'm thinking of this. Once you put your career as an idol and you begin to idolize it over everything, and I'm going to be honest, I'm guilty of this. I have done this in my life, so I'm speaking from like experience. And I also have people in my life who they're going through this as well. It's so normal. I almost feel like everyone probably goes through this, because most of us are going to have a career at some point in our life. And everyone wants to be successful. Everyone obviously wants more. I don't know many people who don't want more money. That's a normal desire for people, and a lot of times we associate success with money, like if you're rich, you're successful. That's how people view it. But I think recently I have just had, I've been saying a lot recently, like my frontal lobe is developing, because I've been having so many like aha moments. And again, I'm guilty for wanting nice things, valuing money and valuing monetary things in my career as well. And part of it is like, you do have to be aware of that, because you do have to be able to sustain a certain lifestyle like that you're living, or you have to make changes, obviously. But the thing too that I've learned is no matter what income you're at, you make it work. You'll make you'll sustain your life. So understand you're always gonna cover yourself. You'll always be okay, or somebody will be able to help. Like, you'll be able to figure it out. But it's just so interesting, because we tend to sacrifice so much to be successful in our careers, whether that's sleeping, working late, working overtime, working on the weekends, skipping meals because you're busy, or because you're stressed because of work you can't eat. There's just so many things that we sacrifice when we shouldn't, because of work. And because work, and the reason we idolize and the reason that we value work so high is because of the reward, and that is money. And it really just blew my mind, because then when this person was like, but then in turn you end up spending it at a hospital. Absolutely not. I'm not going to slave and work my life away, being miserable and sacrificing everything I do love and care about in my early years, for then in my later years when I'm retired and I'm freed from my work, that I'm sick because I didn't take care of myself, and I don't have family and friends to enjoy my money with, and I don't have friends and family to enjoy my success, or whatever it is. I don't want to get to that point. Like, I want to take care of myself now and enjoy whatever means I have now. Obviously, smartly, like responsibly. I don't spend out of my means. I save. I do the things I'm supposed to do, but it's like I live within my means, if that makes sense. But I'm not, and I think I have been a slave to my work, but from now on, like, that's ingrained in my mind. Like, I don't think I'll ever be able to forget that. And I'm not telling you guys to not work hard. I mean, literally listen to my episode last week. I was talking about why we need to push ourselves, and we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, but it doesn't necessarily need to come with the sacrifice of things that we do care about, because then in the future, if everything we sacrifice is not worth it, like, why did you do it? You have to think a little futuristically. But it blew my mind, because even I think like late work, and obviously there's going to be circumstances and there's going to be situations where maybe something slipped and you have to sacrifice a few things. That's normal. That's life. But it's the overall volume of it and how often it's occurring and how much of an impact it is making on your life. Think about that. Because like I said, I would not want to end up spending all my money at a hospital because I didn't take care of myself when I could, and I should have. So keep that in mind when you are either studying or trying to get the promotion or whatever. If that is something you truly do value and care about, like, I'm not stopping you from, I think that's amazing to get your master's degree or to graduate med school or to climb the ladder at work or to start a business. Like, that's sacrifice, and it can be so fulfilling too. And could be your calling as well, but just understand the sacrifices you're making and what you're doing to your body, because you can juggle it. You can have a better balance with it too, and I've found that myself. But I think a lot of times we're just so unaware of what we're doing, and we're not aware of the consequences that'll come in the future. We're just so eager to satisfy what we want now rather than have the discipline and self-control to control the now so we have it better later, you know? Something to think about, friends. That's just one thing that I really was like, wow, and it stuck with me. Again, I wish I knew who said that, but I don't have it written down. But what I do have written down is from Paul Saladino on the George Janko podcast. I love George Janko's podcast. And he had Paul Saladino, like I just said, he's a doctor on there. And I'm not even through the whole podcast. And this just stuck with me. I was listening to it literally today. And he was talking a lot about nutrition and health and wellness and all of that. Very interesting episode. But he reframed his perspective on discipline. This was just a short little snippet, but I'm like, wow, this was good. So George was talking to Paul on this episode about like balance and cheat meals, and is it bad to eat super, super well, but then have a cheat meal, and is it counterproductive? What are the consequences? Like, should I not be doing this? How do we not do this? Asking all these questions. And Paul Saladino was like, reframe your whole mindset with eating. And I loved this, because I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard somebody speak like this. And it's exactly how my brain thinks, and I totally agree with it, but I've never thought of it myself. And he says, eating healthy is the reward. Oftentimes we view a cheat meal as that's the reward for eating healthy. Say you follow your diet for so many days, and then you have a cheat meal and you celebrate with that cheat meal. Bodybuilders celebrate with that cheat meal, but it's like, we should celebrate with eating healthy, because eating healthy is a blessing, you guys. We have the ability and the luxury to eat high quality foods, to eat organic, to eat grass fed, to eat whole foods, because some people don't have access to that. A lot of people don't have access to that or the means to buy that for themselves. And the thing too, it's like, I'll be in the grocery store and I'll see organic, or I'll see the more expensive but healthier version of a snack or a product. Ground beef, for example, it's expensive. I always say invest in your health, but it's like, I never realized that the reward of what I do is to enjoy the healthy food. It does come with a higher dollar value, but again too, it's like, put the worth in that. Like, understand that that's something to be celebrated, because we have the ability to consume those foods. And I was like, wow, like it rocked my mind, you guys. I'm not kidding. And I really sat there for a while, and I'm so guilty of celebrating with a dessert or celebrating with a cheat meal, or being like, I deserve this, or I work so hard, have this. And people say that to me. I've probably said it myself, I'm sure. I've said it to myself, I know. But thinking about it, I'm like, I am so blessed to be able to go to Whole Foods and buy $10 pound of ground beef. That's insane. And most of the time I'm like, I'll just get this one. But I'm like, no, I have the ability to bless my body with nutrient-packed, high-quality food. And I'm over here celebrating the low-quality food, the processed food, the fast food. Like, everyone has the ability to eat that. That is not something to, like, necessarily celebrate, you know? Anyone can do that. And the thing is, the repercussions aren't even great. Like, when you eat processed food and you eat fast food, low-quality food, like seed oils, inflammatory oils, anything that's not making you feel good, like, if you really break down, like, what we want as humans in life, it's to feel good and to enjoy life, to have a joyful, fulfilling life. When you feel like crap, a lot of things aren't as enjoyable because you're focused on feeling better. When I was sick 2 weeks ago, the only thing, my top priority was to feel better. And I would do anything and everything to feel better. That was my only focus. So why would I do something that I know is going to cause me to feel worse? Like, why would I be celebrating that? It just doesn't even make sense. So something to think about, really reframe my whole mindset with, like, my ability to, one, buy maybe more expensive groceries, because I hate that. And I'm always like, oh, I spent this much at Whole Foods. Like, that's such a blessing. What am I saying? I am so blessed, and I should be, and I am now so grateful. And I usually, like, I do feel very grateful walking into Whole Foods or walking into Sprouts or even like Trader Joe's or Costco or a grocery store. You guys, actually, let's just break it down to simpler terms. A grocery store is a blessing to be able to walk in at the convenience of walking in. We don't have to hunt, we don't have to fish, we don't have to gather, we don't have to walk miles to collect water. We get in our air-conditioned car, drive down the road. Everyone probably has a grocery store within like 5 to 10 minutes of them. Mine are even closer. I could walk to my grocery stores, and go with it perfectly organized, perfectly set up, perfectly marketed to be enjoyable to the eye, pleasing to the eye. There's music going on, there's air conditioning, there's probably fragrance. Like, we don't realize, like, how good we have it when you break it down to, like, the most basic thing of going to a grocery store. And in my mind, I'm guilty of being like, oh, I have to go to Whole Foods and freaking inflation's insane and groceries are so expensive. I need to be grateful for the fact that I can, and I don't have the means to buy $15, like, I can't go shopping at Erewhon, you guys. No, I don't even buy all my groceries at Whole Foods, because that's just not responsible and reasonable. But the foods that I do really prioritize, I have a different perspective on it now of being like, I want grass-fed, I want organic, I want to feel good, because I have the ability, I need to honor that. And another thing, I'm just scratching the surface, and I'm not even going to talk about it much yet just because it's something so new, but our body's a temple and we should honor it. That is a way of honoring God, is honoring our own bodies and taking care of our bodies. And again, it's such a blessing to have a body to take care of and have the ability to do so. But like, it's literally a sin to gluttony. Oh, I'm gonna confuse myself. Gluttony. I think that's it. Is a sin, and that's like overindulging, overeating, overconsuming food. That's a literal sin. So is being drunken. It's not a sin to have a glass of wine. It's a sin to be drunk because you overindulge in the wine. And the thing is, I've said it before, but sins are there as protection, because God knows what will harm us, what is good for us, what is not. He created the sins for us to have a literal clear pathway of being like, if you live, and we're never going to live like a sin-free life, but if you do, like, you have best case scenario to live the best life possible if you live sin-free, just because it's the things he's protecting us from, because he knows the outcome. Is overeating ever made us feel good? Is it good for our body? No, it causes health issues. It causes obesity. It causes shame, guilt, stomach aches. It causes like sleepiness. There's so many things that we don't love when we do it, but we do it anyways, because again, it's so easy to do, because we get a dopamine hit, we get serotonin. Food's addictive. Food's like, I could go down a whole rabbit hole right now, but you guys know what I'm saying. And so I've really started to kind of use my faith, have a more faith-based perspective on my diet and what I consume. And I feel like eating high quality food, wholesome foods that make me feel good, is a way of honoring God, because I'm doing the best thing I can for my body. And again, everyone's means and everyone's situation is different. And this, that guy that I was just talking about on the Trca podcast, Paul, was saying how don't get perfect. like crazy, like don't let perfect stop you from progress, because still doing something is better. So if you maybe can't afford grass-fed organic ground beef, but you can afford ground beef over like a processed packaged burger in the freezer, like that is better. That is progress. Do what you can, do the best you can. And again, I also believe that God will honor that and God will gift you for that. And so I don't know, my whole mind has, like, with my diet and the way I move my body and stuff, it's like a way to honor God because he gave me what I have, and I'm so grateful for that. But again, it's so crazy when I heard him say, like, eating healthy is the reward, because it is the reward. We should be so grateful for that. And again, everyone in the world can eat junk food and fast food. So why is that something to be celebrated? You know, it's not anything special. It makes us, again, feel like crap. Anyway, another thing that, I have learned this week that I had written in my notes was create a routine that heals you, and you fit your work into. Okay, so it's kind of like you work to live, you don't live to work. Don't put all your worth in like working. So this is like a two-parter, and I didn't really realize that until right now when I read it. But one, create a routine that heals you. Honestly, you guys, I'm excited because I actually have created the best night routine and the best morning routine. I love my mornings and I love my nights now. I used to never be a night owl, and I'm not saying I'm a night owl. I never used to be a night person in general. Like after 4, 5, 6 o'clock, I'm like, okay, day's over. Like I just want to go to bed. But now I like look forward to my night routine, and I look forward to all like the little self-care things that I have implemented in my night routine. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to be guilty of being like overwhelmed with the amount of things that I had in a night routine and steps, and I'm like, ugh, I just want to go to bed. I'm tired, I'm lazy. But I reframe my mindset to being like, Chloe, this makes you feel so good. You have the ability to do this. You are taking care of your body. You're taking better care of your body. So it's then in turn gonna be better. You're gonna feel better. It's gonna look better, move better, have more energy. And I'm just so happy. I'm so excited to talk about it. So I could do a whole episode if you guys want me to, like on the breakdown of my morning routine or on the breakdown of my night routine, but I'm going to give you a brief summary. It's so good. So in the mornings, the first thing I do, I'm not going to lie, there's still many areas that I can improve, but I still check my phone. I scroll, I update. I kind of feel like I was unconscious for so many hours, and I live like far away from my family, and I like live on my own, and I'm like, it's a way for me to just kind of feel at peace being like, okay, everything in the world is good and now I can go about my day. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's just how I do it. Like I check my text, make sure there's nothing I needed to be updated on that was like emergency or whatever, good or bad. I check my socials because it's literally my job, and I just make sure everything's good on there. Because I mean, it's never really happened. Well, sometimes I post a video and it goes viral and I'm getting a bunch of hate and I'm like, oh no, and I need to like correct. But I don't know what goes on when I'm sleeping. So it's like I check my socials to make sure everything's like good, and then I go on about my day. And so after that, I make my morning latte, and I love that because it's a slow process. It's longer, but I literally enjoy making my coffee just as much as I would enjoy actually more than getting in my car and like driving to Dutch Bros or driving to Dunkin' or Press Coffee or wherever I go. I really view like those kind of things. And again, it kind of goes back to like everyone has access to that. Not everyone has access to an espresso machine in their house where they can make a homemade latte exactly how they like it with the ingredients and the products that they want. That is such a blessing. Like I perfectly customize my latte to my liking every single day, and I have control over it. Meanwhile, you go to Dunkin' and I'm like, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? It's spending $4, $5, $6 anyways. And half the time I don't like it. And I come home and I fix it up. I add more almond milk, or, you know, I add more stevia or whatever they didn't do right in it. And so it's a blessing to have the ability to do this. And I've really begun to understand that. And again, too, it's just like a slow process. It's fun. It kind of wakes me up. And everyone it's comforting, like a warm little latte. Right now I'm making my like pumpkin spice latte, and it's delicious and I love it. And I have my little coffee nook, and it's adorable. I have my little fall cups. I love that. I love it so much. And then from there, I started drinking electrolytes actually in the morning as well, because it's just the health benefits behind it. It just helps me, gets the day started right. And it has actually helped me feel a lot better, especially because I'm cutting back on caffeine, and I can get to that in a minute. But I sit down at my little desk, literally that table right behind me, my kitchen table, because I still don't have bar stools after living here for 2 months. It's been on my to-do list for a minute, just not a priority, because that's fine. I can sit at that table, but I do my Bible study. I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. And well, actually, it's funny now because, and I don't know if this is good or not. I want to ask like somebody in my church higher up, but I use Snapchat AI to break down and help me analyze verses in the Bible, because I do my Bible study. I read like 2 to 3 chapters a day. But I've been really getting into my Bible studies, and I love it. I'm learning so much, and I think I'm enjoying the process of learning because it's making me feel more confident in church and understand church better. Because, wow, I'm speaking so fast because I'm getting so excited. Slow down, Clay. But I think because my faith is so important to me and it's something so new, I hate being bad at stuff. I'm not good at it. I need to be better. Like, for example, the other day, me, Jake, Emma, and Kyler we went to this park. We brought a spike ball and we brought a soccer ball. Well, Kyler and Emma played college level soccer. They're very skilled. They're very good. Jake's just athletic in general. Jake can be kind of good at anything. And we went to go kick the soccer ball around, and I was the worst by far. And I hated it. And I was so embarrassed. And I was like, this is God testing me of like, Chloe, get out of your comfort zone, try new things. Like, the only way to get better is to do it. And I was like getting frustrated. And then anyway, Kyler was hurting because we ran 10 miles earlier the day before, and we have a half marathon this weekend. So he's like, I can't really kick the ball that well. So I was like, all right. And we started playing spike ball. Never played spike ball before. Was really bad at the beginning, but got through it and ended up having so much fun, enjoying it. Whoa, where am I going with this? Oh, but that was like my lesson of being like, see, Chloe, if you stick with something and you get a little better at it, you will find enjoyment in it, and you will find fulfillment and whatever. Better vibes, better happiness, more joy. So that with church, comparing that to my like walk with God and stuff, right away when I got hooked. But then once you get hooked and you start going through like the process of growing your faith and growing closer to God and stuff, it can be a little, and again too, I think this is God working on me with comparison and jealousy and all of that. But I didn't like being at church. I didn't like being at my young adults and feeling so behind and not understanding. And it was, I think, building a bit of like resistance with me in certain areas. And it was hard because I'm like, I want to be here. I want to understand, but I wasn't necessarily, and I felt like I was doing a lot, and I really was compared to before. And again, it's a journey. It's a process. It's one thing at a time. I think you slowly like build a ladder. Cause you can't just like, you can dive all in, but again, it's going to be a lot. And so I think I've just slowly, progressively dove deeper into it. But again, it's like I started reading my Bible, and then I started having moments in church where I'm like, oh, I read about this. Oh, this makes sense. Or I'll be reading my Bible and be like, oh, I've heard this name before. Oh, I recognize this. And it builds that like confidence and that better understanding and just greater wisdom. And it's helped me, I think, feel more confident in my faith and in the church, because I understand like what people are preaching, and I have a better understanding of what I should be doing and how to live a more godly life. And anyway, I really have started, wow, I go down rabbit holes. But I started using Snapchat AI to help break down the verse, because I have a study Bible and it's very helpful, but this is essentially me like doing research, but it's so quick, and it gives me the exact breakdown, and it gives me like the themes and it will literally write like, I'll be like, hey, on the AI thing, I'll be like, break down 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 3-4. And then it gives me it gives me the verse, and then it gives me the summary of each, like 3 and then 4, each part of the verse. And then it gives me like the overall like themes, and it's so helpful. And I'm like, wow. And then I'm making so many notes. I'm like, I would have never caught that. Because I think you could reread the Bible a million times and learn new things from each verse a million different times. And so this is my first time. So I think it's cool, because I'm drawing so many, I'm learning, it's really teaching me how to read a verse and then analyze it better, because reading comprehension is not my thing. That was not my strong suit in school. That was actually my lowest like grade, my lowest my worst class. My biggest weakness in school was reading and comprehension and spelling, if you guys didn't already know that. So it really helps me. I don't know if it's good or bad, but anyway, after that, drink my electrolytes, drink my coffee, do my like Bible study, and then I either clean up or get ready for the gym, start my day. Like that's my morning routine, and then I get ready. And I love it. I love it. And I love having a routine where I'm like taking care of myself. I'm feeding my spirit. I'm feeding my soul. I'm feeding like my body with the coffee and the electrolytes. I don't know. I'm taking care of myself and I feel good. And then my night routine, I love it. I drink tea. I get cozy. I literally take this blanket and I throw it in the dryer and get it warm. I have like one of those, what are they called? Oh my gosh. Let me look. I'm totally blanking and it's like in my phone. But, what is it? Anyway, I put it in the freezer and then, a Nod Pod. I have a Nod Pod, like weighted eye mask, and I put it in the freezer for like 10 minutes. So it's like cold. And so I have like cold and then I have warm on my body. And, I love it. I love it. I drink my tea and I like do my whole face skincare routine, put on my cozy pajamas. And it's just like having an order to things like helps your body normalize and adapt and be like, okay, it's time to sleep. And it distracts you from doing other things you maybe shouldn't necessarily do when you have things to do in order. One of Jake's friends reached out to him and was like, hey, I struggle like laying in bed. Like I don't have to be to work till a certain time. And I wake up like earlier than that, obviously, but I'll lay in bed for like an hour and just scroll. But like he didn't want to do that. So he was asking for tips. And I was like, create a routine that you can just blindly follow and unconsciously like do these habits, it gives you something to get up and do. And that's me. I like get up and I'm like, okay, time for coffee, time for Bible. And same for bed. And it helps you wind down. But with that being said, create a routine that heals you. Those are routines that heal me and make me feel so good. And then with that, fit your work into your routines and into your day rather than creating routines around work and like living for work rather than working to live, not living to work, if that makes sense. So like kind of back to what I was saying at the beginning, like don't become a slave to your work. Don't become a slave to certain things. Like learn to have a balance because taking care of yourself and your body is so important. Because then anything that you gain through work isn't going to be enjoyed the way it should if you aren't taking care of yourself, because again, like your health is going to come into play and that's going to be your first priority and other things are going to happen. So really went on a long tangent without that I wasn't planning on. But anyway, the next one, I really like this too. This is really, really important. Have a solid foundation of yourself built before you're faced with a challenge that wrecks you. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to break it down. Have a solid foundation of yourself built. So make sure you know yourself. You have a foundation, a sturdy structure. You have people around you to lean on. You have a prayer life. You have routines. You have control over what you can control, built before you're faced with a challenge that wrecks you. Because in life, you guys, no matter what, I think I heard this in a sermon. I think this was from my sermon, from Pastor Darrison at Impact Church on Thursdays at Rally. I'm pretty sure he said that, but I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think that was from that. He always says like, life is gonna life, okay? And now these are my words, not his, but life is gonna life, and no matter what, like challenging things are gonna happen. Like tragedies happen, things you don't understand happen, just problems arise, and you need to have a foundation built for when they do rather than waiting for when it happens to look for a solution. It's so much better. Like this, for me, the best way I can compare it is like having a prayer life and having a relationship with God helps so much in those moments because you know who to go to. The Lord, you know to pray. You have people in your life praying for you. You have those people to lean on when that does happen, rather than having that awful, whatever that awful thing maybe happen, and it just absolutely wrecks you and you don't know what to do. You don't know where to look. You barely were keeping your head above water before this tragedy because you didn't have a foundation built for yourself. And then this happens and you just feel like you're sinking. And that's such a scary feeling. And I've been there. Like, I think we all probably have been and we've learned from it, but it's like, don't allow yourself to have to experience that and learn from it rather than just having that foundation built. And obviously, over time, you can build a more solid foundation and be stronger and be more like sturdy in it. For me, having God and trusting and having blind, undoubted faith is so important. because again, like life's gonna bring a storm and you gotta be prepared. And I like to say, don't wait to learn during the wait. And again, that's going to bring in a lot of different points on like patience and the waiting season and stuff. But it's so big because I think a lot of times when we think nothing's happening, we don't feel like we're progressing. We're still being chiseled away and things are happening behind the scenes that we probably don't even know. Like God is in control, but there's so many things that are happening that we consciously aren't seeing, or we're thinking there's such like a negative thing in our life, but they are just truly a blessing. Like God makes all things good. And even the terrible, stressful times and the discouraging moments where you're like, God, I thought like this was it. Like I've been working so hard. I'm being so patient. I'm trying to be so obedient. The thing is, there's probably something else he's still working on that you're not seeing above whatever thing that you're wanting. You're still idolizing that over whatever he's still working on. So like I said, learn during the waiting. Use that time to learn more and more about yourself and how to build a foundation and who's in your life and what you prioritize and whatever it may be, rather than waiting to learn when it's going to feel a little too late and it's going to be stressful, and you'll still be able to learn. You'll still be able to figure it out when that tragedy happens, because we always do. We always figure it out. Life always gets better. It does. There's like that turning point, and it always does happen. But in that moment, it's going to be so much harder to see that and believe that if you don't have that foundation built already. So I hope that encourages you to do that now. It's kind of like an insurance thing of, for when, just in case. And it's not even like just in case it does happen. Like eventually something is going to happen. And I pray that we will get through it, because it's again part of God's divine plan. But I just want you to be like your strongest, best self to like get through that, and fight that battle. So again, don't wait to learn during the wait. And then I'm going to end with this. This was something I heard in Alex Hormozi's podcast. He's so great as well. He's big into business, and a little bit of fitness, but I love this. I think I saw this on a reel today. And he said, one decision can change your life. Again, I mean, Ed Mylett says that. A lot of people say that. It only takes one conversation, one yes, one new habit, one day. Like it only takes one. And his example was, you can drive in a car and crash and die because you were drinking. One decision of drinking and then getting into a car changes your life pretty fast, instantly, essentially, in the grand scheme of things, very, very quick. But you can also make a life-changing decision with a delayed reaction. You might not see the results like right away, but it's still happening. The seed's being planted and it's being watered. It just takes time to grow. And so for me, it's like, that's where you have to have faith. That's where you have to have patience and trust in God's plan. Because again, like he said, you can make one choice can be life-changing. And I think a lot of times we're so quick to be impatient, and we're so quick to question when we don't see a result right away. Especially for me, I feel like this resonates the most within a career, especially with like people in my life's careers. I'm always preaching this to them, not preaching, but like saying this to them. But I just reiterate, or I tell them, I'm like, be patient. Trust that like the waiting is necessary and it's purposeful, because that if you're doing the things you know you need to be doing, the seed is planted and it's being watered as you continually do the things you need to be doing, and then over time it will grow and it will sprout and it will prosper. One decision can change your entire life, but again, it's just as likely for the results to happen slow as it is to happen quick. We just only associate it with the quick results, like having a drink, getting in a car, driving, crashing, and there goes your life. Like that's one decision, boom, life-changing. But you could also just as likely make one decision that can change your life. You just might not see it right away, but it was still made, and the response and the repercussions are still coming. So I hope that encourages you. If you're feeling like you're in a rut, you're not motivated, you're confused, you're stressed, you're feeling like you're in a standstill, you feel like you're in a hold position, and when you know that you've been doing your best and you've been giving it your all, it can be so discouraging. And I think, again, in those times, everything's purposeful, and God is still working, He's still chiseling away. They always say diamonds come from pressure. So when you feel out of pressure and you're stressed, good things still can come from that. Not necessarily like a way that I think you should be living all the time, but just know waiting has a meaning too. So again, I'm gonna run through all those, like, just briefly, all the things that I've like reframed. Don't work hard to make money and end up getting sick and spending it all to heal. Eating healthy is the reward. Create a routine that heals you. And also create a routine that fits in your work rather than creating a routine around your work. Have a solid foundation of yourself built before you're faced with a challenge that wrecks you. And one decision can change your life. It just may not be instant. So I hope this inspires you, encourages you, helps you, motivates you. All of these are really like sitting deep within me. And again, like learning all these things get me so excited because I can look forward to life and knowing that I can make better decisions that will, one, give me more clarity, more peace of mind, more faith in myself, in God's plan, whatever it is. And it just makes life more enjoyable because I'm a little less stressed and a little less confused. So anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening, and we will chat next week. Bye, guys.